Check us out online at veteran-vapor.com. Today I'm going to cover how to rebuild the RDA section of the new Kanger SubTank. This isn't a full review of the Kanger SubTank. I've done that in another video in the description below. So check out that video to see what it comes with, how to use it, how to take it apart. This is strictly rebuilding the coils on the RDA section of the tank. Now we'll go up close and show you exactly how to do it. Alright, the first thing that you have to do is make sure this tank's completely empty. If not, you're going to lose all your liquid out the bottom, because you have to take it completely apart and you have to change the top cap to this, so all your liquid will be gone. So when you're switching to the RDA, you unscrew the bottom, and you remove the pre-packaged coil and replace it with the RDA section. Now this has a top cap that comes off, and inside this I have a coil that was already wicked from a previous video, so I'll just show you what that looks like. And these were the pre-built coils that came on the RDA. You may have to unscrew this from the base to get the other piece off of here, so you can get to the building deck. And then I screw it back on the base, and then I'll screw it onto a mod. In my case, I use a box mod because I like to build on it. Make sure you have the power off or the battery removed so you don't fire it on accident. So now I'm just going to remove the cotton in the coils. You just do this by unscrewing the two screws and pulling the coils off. Be careful when you're removing these, because I had a screw come out, so keep track of these screws. They come with extra screws in case you lose them, but you definitely want to keep track of them. So while I have this off, the three different parts of this, so you have the positive and negative terminals, and they're just separated by this little gap right here. So you want to make sure when you put the coils on this thing, you don't have any wire from this post touching this piece right here, or it'll short your wire out. Same with any of the wire from this post touching anything over here, or else it'll short it out. And then the center tube right here is the airflow tube that touches the air holes. So when you build it, you want to have the coils above the air hole, but you don't want it completely covered, or your airflow will suffer. So I'm going to use 26 gauge Kanthal and a 2mm screwdriver. I'm going to do 6 wraps. And I'm not going to preheat the Kanthal. You can, some people do. I don't prefer to, so I'm just not going to. And another trick to doing these coils is you leave the two leads straight. You don't tuck them under. You want to have them going completely opposite directions when you clip them. And leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of lead on each side. It makes it easier to work with. You can see the gaps in these. That'll get fixed when we heat it up when it's on the base, and we'll squeeze them together. When you put it on the base here, you're going to have two of the leads going the same way on each side, and the coils are going to be side by side. So you have to make sure that they're facing the same way. So one is going to be short, one's going to be long, one's going to be short, one's going to be long. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. The way that I do it is I'll leave it on the screwdriver, and I'll leave the screws unscrewed about 1/8 of an inch, so you have enough room for bite for both of the leads. I'll put the one right close to the post. And just kink the wire over underneath it. Once you get an idea of where this is going to bend, you can take a pair of pliers and just bend this a little bit. Especially if you're using 26 gauge, you want to have a bend in it. And so that one will hook on there pretty easily. So you can't tighten this down yet until you have another lead. Also, you want to make sure the lead is underneath, facing the way that the screw tightens. So whenever you tighten the screw down, it'll bite to the lead, and it won't back it out. So the same with this one. You get it going the same way, figure out where it's going to be, and you just kink it over. And so I'll take a little screwdriver, flat tip screwdriver, and put some pressure on these to make sure they're in there. And then tighten it down real tight. I also use the screwdriver that comes with it because I know it fits exactly in there. And my screwdriver is a little bit off, so it doesn't make it as tight. And you can see after that, the coils look pretty messed up, but there's nothing we can't fix. So since both of these leads went this way, both of these are going to go this way and attach to this post, and they're going to come around the back side. For this, I'm going to put the screwdriver back through to give the coil some support, and since it's already locked in there, I can just bend this with my finger or with a pair of pliers and make it wrap around that post. So once I got them in there, hold them in there good and tight and you screw it down. And there it is. So they're both on there. So I'll give all the leads a jiggle to make sure that they'll hold. If they don't, which this one didn't, back it out, take a pair of pliers to it, and make sure they're good and tight underneath those posts. So what I did here is I backed the screw out a little more so I can get more of the area of the coil, or the lead, underneath the screw. And so now whenever I twist it in there, it'll really bite. And see, this is where it's key to having the screw turn the same way as the lead's running, so it doesn't try to back the lead out from under the screw. So that's pretty solid right there. So these things look pretty nasty, but we can get them fixed up. And so this side over here, I can make that a little tighter, so I'm going to do that too. There it is. It took a little work. I had to really tug on this leads to get them underneath that screw, but now it'll definitely pay off. Alright, so I'll give these leads a good clip. Alright, I got the leads clips here. I want to make sure that they're not sticking out far enough past the deck so they don't ground out on anything. They don't look like they're in there very well, but they are. They're pretty strong. Same with this side. I want to make sure this side doesn't go past this line right here. So you don't want these leads touching this deck at all. So now I'm just going to clean the coils up a little bit before I fire it at all. So I'll put this through here, and I'll just move them around to where I want them to go. Straighten them up a little bit. You got to get them off of that deck. And you want to make sure nothing's touching, as you can see right down in this area. Nothing's touching the deck. Past this gap right here, nothing's touching that screw, so we're good. If you want to be extra careful, you can take a flat tip screwdriver and just kind of pry them up a little bit to give them a little more space. But that's that. When you test fire this for the first time, just like any other coil, you want to pulsate it. You don't want to just hold the button down. And right now this is reading at 0.3. So once I get this glowing hot, take a pair of pliers, squeeze it, and hold it for a couple of seconds. I'll do the other side, pulsate. And in between, you can check to make sure while you're squeezing it, you're not making it touch anything that it's not supposed to. So we'll pulsate it. And it looks like one of these aren't firing. So you can see one of them's going real hot, real fast. So the one that's loose should be firing faster. So I'm going to check on that and see what's going on. I can see here. See this end right here came undone for this other coil, so that's why only one of them is firing. So the lead for this coil ended up right there and it backed out. So you're going to run into that a lot. I ran into it the first couple of times I built on this thing. These leads are pretty tough to stay in there, so once you do it a couple of times you get better at it and you'll learn to pick that stuff up. So all I'm going to do is the same thing I've been doing. Back the screw out, stuff the lead under there and tighten it down. Alright, now I got both coils finally working right. They glow from the inside out, they're lined up good. And so they're sitting right above the air hole, and they're right next to each other. So now we just have to wick it. So I got one piece, it's about 1 inch long. So just put it through the center of the coil. And it should fit loose enough to where you can pull it back and forth, but not too loose where it just goes easy. And you leave about 1/4 of an inch past the base of the deck. do the other one the exact same way. So now you can take a screwdriver, or anything really, and just curl them up so they sit right on the deck. And you can take the first piece of the cap and screw it right on. So then as you're looking in here, take a screwdriver and just fluff the cotton. Make sure it's all sitting down. And you put your first little drops of liquid on it. So like I said, this is 0.3. I'm only at 31 watts. I'm going to turn it up to 35. This is an IPv1, so this is the max. So it's ready. So now we put the top piece on for the cap. And this is where you take this top piece for the tank off and you replace it with the other piece. So all you do is unscrew it and then screw it back in with the new one. Alright, now I have the top cap replaced. So you can see the tube in it shorter. So you fill it up with liquid. I'm just going to use the last bit of what I got. This is Fog Minion Hawaiian Fuzzberry. All you do is screw the tank into the base and set your air holes. You're ready. So now that you've seen how to build the coils, just keep in mind, like any other tank or atomizer or any kind of coils, there's tons of different ways to do it. This is just the way that I've done it and what works for me. If it works for you, great. Maybe you'll find a better way to do it yourself. There's tons of little tips and tricks, so just keep at it and remember to have patience because this stuff isn't easy first time around doing it. So if you're new to this stuff, maybe start on more of a beginner atomizer. So this is the 0.3 build that I just tried. And this is at 45 watts on a Sigelli box. So it's got really good flavor, good vapor. Just like in my last video about how to wick the tank, I don't get as much airflow in it, and I think it's because there's too much cotton around the air hole. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if that's just a sacrifice you get for having the smaller chamber. I'm still not sure. I'll keep checking it out, and I'll leave a comment and I'll find out why you don't get as good an airflow as you do with the pre-built, pre-packaged coils. So thanks for watching the video. Remember to check us out online, veteran-vapor.com.